Today I have a friend of mine named Jerry Puckett. He's been in the printing business for over 50 years.
Ooh,
He specializes in books and publications. And I've got a book that my grandmother wrote, and I'm going to talk to him about that today as well.
but I
Was that right out of high school?
right. People could go out of high school if they wanted, and they could get involved in a printing plant, the newspaper, or a commercial printing plant. And then they could learn the trade and work up. But I started out when I got out of the military. I had a brother-in-law who was a printer. And he kind of got me involved a little bit, into typesetting. And they had it was a linotype machine, and every line you would set a line and it would come out as a metal slug, and then you'd have a whole galley of them, and then they would take that galley and proof it and on paper and send it to the proofreader. And then she would read it, and if there's any mistakes, then you would set those lines over, and they'd just take the bad line out and put the new one in, and it's all little metal slugs.
How did you get the metal slugs? Had the words on them?
Yeah, had the words on them. We would type it up, and little characters would drop down, and we'd have space bands in between, and we'd make words out. Very unique. And then, but once we got the big galleys corrected, then they would put it in what they called a chase, and the chase would be the actual page size, and they would get that type and put the actual page size, space it out, and tighten it up, and then they would bolt it into the press, and then the press would run it from those metal slugs, and from the old linotype machine. And one time I got to tell this story. One time we went to Washington, D.C. to the Smithsonian Institute, and in that institute they've got a printing section in that institute. So I went there, and when I went in there just a few years ago, there was that linotype machine. I told my wife, I am in the museum. So I know I'm getting old. I've been around a long time, but
when what you use is in a museum, you know you're getting old.
In fact, there is one down at 5 Points. There's a linotype machine at 5 Points, and it's operational.
Where is it at? At the museum?
Yeah, in 5 Points here in Cleveland.
What was that machine they used to go like this and print stuff? What was that?
That was pretty much some of the old printing press that you could put it in, and you'd put something in, and you could take it out as it printed.
Yeah, but they did go like this, like they were.
Yeah, it was just an old printing press.
Did that have
one of the older ones, by the way?
Did that have those metal?
Yes,
things?
yeah. You could make it, and you could make. Or sometimes, if the type was real big, you had to do it by hand, and put it in there, and then they would lock it in, and then that press would go back and forth, and do it like that.
I know on Green Acres, Sam Drucker does the newspaper also, and he was always dropping the pieces and having to put them back in.
Back in on that.
So he was dropping those metal pieces.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, he probably was, and I'm not familiar with that, but I'd say that's probably right. But then after that, came the offset printing, whereas they would have the typesetting on it, and then you would have a makeup artist who would make up the pages, exact size of pages, and make it up, and then they would take a photograph of it, and then from the photograph they'd put on a plate, and then on the plate, then they'd put the plates on the press. So it eliminated the big chase. And
that was advanced.
That was very advanced, and those presses were a lot faster, and they could print. Some of them they could print both sides at the same time. Especially if it was just one color, they could print both sides at the same time, and so on offset presses. And those presses, of course, those presses are still operational today. And but then from there it went to the digital printing. And now the digital printing goes directly from the computer to the press. It bypasses all of it. And we have where we work at Pathway, we have the offset printing. Now the big presses are really better for the long runs. Like if you're running 25 or 50,000 or 100,000, then you want to do it offset printing. But if you're talking
What does
about
offset printing mean?
The offset printing means that it's printed directly. You put it on plate, and then the plate is strapped onto the cylinders of the press, and then the paper runs and it offsets it right onto the paper.
So it just runs through the ink and then to the paper.
And to the right, and it's got big cylinders, and then cylinders turn. The paper comes right over, and then it offsets it onto the paper.
That would be similar to the newspaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Printing.
Yeah, newspapers mostly are all offset. And like you say, some of your big presses, when we do our big magazines, we do big magazines and things like that. Then we do the offset printing. Now, digital printing is great for 50, 100, or 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. But when you get over 2,000, then you want to go to the offset printing.
How come?
Because it's much faster and it's less expensive. Now, the digital printing is less expensive, on the shorter runs. But when you get into 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, sometimes 30, 40, 50,000 impressions, then you're now much faster and it's less expensive to do it that way.
So that when you say impressions, you mean
paper, yes,
pages.
Yeah, pages, yes, yeah.
And then when they get off, you got to cut them to size.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. You got to get them when they get off, and most of the pages, like you say, when you put a book together, you put it together in sections, and like you say, some people have 16-page sections, some people have 32-page sections. So the 160-page book would be 5 32-page sections. So then you have to fold those sections down. Then you set them all aside. Then section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. And then you have to go to the collator. Then you collate those sections together in a book, and then you start putting the spine on, and then you trim it out to the exact size. Would
you call that publishing, or what would you call that?
That would be the publishing. It would be the printing, the printing of it, the printing aspect, of it. I like to call it the printing part of it.
Sounds to me like it's just the printing.
That's the printing part of it.
Or the making.
Publications. Yeah. The publication of it, and that's kind of. Some of the different aspects that you got to do. You just don't Xerox these things. A lot of people think you use Xerox, but they have to be printed. They got to be folded. They have to be collated. But now on your shorter runs, the new digital press does a lot of the collating and everything, and when it comes off of that, then you're pretty much ready to trim it to the book size, and then start putting the cover on it. So that's kind of the three aspects of printing that I was involved in my time, and also I like to maybe while we're talking about this, to realize that there's different means of binding your book. If you have a small book like this one here that we did, we have what we call a saddle stitch binding. It's more or less a booklet, and we get a lot of people. Maybe if you've got less than probably 60 pages in a book, then it's pretty much going to be bound as.
How many is in that book?
Probably, I think this one here probably about 24, I think. This one here maybe about 30, maybe 28 to 30 pages.
Basically, just staple.
Yeah, and so that's
this would be more of a little more than a brochure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and it would be that's what we call saddle stitching in that binding. And then, of course, once you get over, 60 pages and that neighborhood, then you go down to the what we call perfect binding, and that is the book, and you got your title on it because you got enough room.
Yeah.
Because your machine will only go down probably at about 1/4 of an inch, and anything that less than 1/4 of an inch.
That's about it. Is this a little bit less?
That's just about the maximum you can do for a perfect bound book.
Below that, it's got to be saddle.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that one, like you say, that one is a perfect bound book, but it's like you say, it's about the minimum that you can do. So when you're thinking about doing a book and everything, then you got to think about the binding and of it and all aspects of doing your book.
Now, how do you get them? Once you, my brother did a book.
Yeah, I'd like to. That's a great book, by the way. I'll tell you that.
Which one?
The one on travel.
The Traveler, yeah.
I worked with Bo on this book here, and I tell you, if you haven't seen this book, you need to get it. I wanted to tell you,
it's informative, isn't it?
It is very informative. He did a lot of research on it. And we worked together then we'd work together on the printing and also he did the little book about his dog.
Yeah, it was my cousin's dog.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, Sam.
Is it really?
So this one is.
Yeah, that I think we was able to perfect bind that one. Yeah,
that was just barely enough.
Yeah, barely enough. Yeah, that was probably about 50 or 60 pages. About 40, 50 pages, and we can. And we can probably perfect bind around 40, around 40 pages, 50 pages if we have to. But
and I guess one thing is the thickness of the paper is obviously an issue, and the cover like this one is a thicker cover.
Yeah, that's a hardback cover.
Hardback.
And I did want to kind of bring that, and that's a beautiful thing, but let me tell you, it's about the cost is about 4 times greater, to do something like this. But it's beautiful. If you want a hardback book, then we can do that. We can do that as well. And also, they got a lot of color on the inside on that too, and that's another.
You can put color on these too.
Yeah, you can. Oh yeah. In fact, we design covers for you if you need to do that, and everything. But if you're doing a book, if you're out there and you're interested in doing it, but of course, once you get the book, in your mind, the next thing you have to do is get it on a computer. You have to type it on a computer. It's got to because we format it and everything. We'll talk about that in a few minutes too. Is that we take. Once you get your book, and you get it, and you get it, and you need to type it on computer, and you need to get somebody else to look at it, to read it.
Is that what they call
a copy editor, a proofreader?
Proofreader, yeah. Proofreader is different than an editor.
Yeah, right. An editor will re-edit your book as according to that. The way he would like to see it. But a proofreader just more or less goes through and makes sure all your sentence structure is correct.
Is that real important?
It is. That's very important.
Why is that?
That is very important because once you get your book on paper, it's there. And I think it's very important. A lot of people, I think I can't stress the importance. You don't want to have misspelled words. You don't want your sentence structure wants to be. You want to have that in pretty good order. Because when people read a book and they see mistakes in it, and it's maybe not.
Is it distracting? I guess
it's distracting to them. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that, and so it's so important when you do your book that you get it typed out, and of course you read through it 2 or 3 times, but you need to get somebody else to read it. And like you say, if we do it, then you call me, and we got proofreaders, and we can do that.
Do you have proofreaders in house, or do you sub that out?
Our proofreaders more or less. I just farm that out. We have people who do that for us. We farm that out basically, and it's to me that's very important, and to get everything correct. And once you do that, once you go through the proofreading part of it, and you're satisfied, then okay, my manuscript's in good shape now, and I'm ready to go to the next step. So the next step would be to call me or call any publisher, and tell them and talk to them about this is a book I got. Kind of give them talk with them about what it is, and they will ask you to send them at least a couple chapters, maybe the table of contents, so they can see each chapter heading, and then they will once they read it, then they will make a decision. Now you have two options. When you have a book, you have two options. We have two options, I should say, maybe. The first option is, and I like to give the difference between a self-published book and a house book. There's the two options you have. The house book is when you submit your manuscript to a publishing company, and such in my case would be Pathway, and the editors will review it, and then they will make a decision, and they have every right to do whether they will accept it or not.
Accept it for what?
As for printing, if they will accept it as a project for the house. And if they accept it for the house project, then they will pay for the printing, they will pay for the design, they will pay for the copyright, and all of that. But the difference is they own the copyright. If they do that, Pathway or any other publishing company will own the copyright.
How much could they give a person for their book? Say Pathway.
All right. What it is, Pathway. When we do that, we take it and it becomes a house project. Then they do all the printing, and then the author gets a percentage of the sales.
And that's negotiated.
That's negotiated.
And
with
it's probably Well, I mean, they're doing all the work.
Yeah, that's right. And so therefore, they enter into a contract with the author, and so then it becomes a house project. But if the house project, they own the copyright.
Now they could. Then you're, I assume, then you're stuck with however many they sell or don't sell.
Yeah, that is true, but they also do the marketing part of it too. They market, they take it to camp meetings, and they put on the website. They do different things to help you market the book. See, that's another thing that a lot of people, when you have a book, is that you have to have some kind of a marketing plan. Now you're going to sell all the books to your friends and your neighbors. Your
mother and your grandmother.
That's exactly right. But you got to do something beyond that. Especially if you self-publish it, of course, it becomes a house project. Then they do that.
Or you hope they do.
Yeah.
They could squelch it.
Yeah, that may be. I don't know. That's a possibility. But that is if it's a house project. But if they turn it down, they say, okay, we can't take this book. We've got other books on this subject, so therefore we're not going to
too similar or something.
Too similar. So therefore we're not going to. So the other option then is to self-publish your book. Now, when you self-publish it, and that's where I'm kind of over the self-publishing part of the company, and when you do that as that means you pay for the printing, you pay for the design, you pay for the formatting, the copywriting, and everything, and we will try to help you market your book as well. But the difference is you own the copyright.
How would you?
Because it will be copyrighted in your name. You are the publisher.
Let's take Bo's book. He owns the copyright.
That's right. And if somebody wanted to make a movie out of that, then he don't have to go through Pathway or whoever the publisher is, because he owns the copyright of this book. Mm-hmm. And if they wanted to make a movie out of this book, then he could enter into that. If some other publisher or distributor wanted to market that book, He could enter. He don't have to get permission from anybody because he owns the copyright.
That's worth something.
And so that's kind of the difference between self-publishing and people who as that goes through the house owns it.
Have you ever known anybody that the house refused to do it and said, we'll print it, but we won't take it in the house, that really went great?
Yeah.
Is there any books like that?
Well, we've had some books that done very well. I will say that well.
I guess first we should say, tell me the relationship between Pathway and the company you work for.
Okay, well, I work with Pathway.
Okay.
See, and Pathway, this it's just a subsidiary of Pathway. It's just part of Pathway Press, and it's called, my division is called Derrick Press, D-E-R-E-K.
Derrick Press.
Derrick Press, and the reason they tell me this. Now they tell me, I want you to know this, that Derrick, Derach in Hebrew means pathway. So, but anyway, Derrick Press is a part of Pathway.
But
but we're the self-published part of the Pathway division of Pathway, yeah. And so we do. If we turn the book into the editorial department, and they say, no, we don't, at this time we can't take this as a house project, then I can get with the coach and say, okay, you have another option here, and that other option is self-publishing. And but the thing about it is, I explained to them, the fact that now you own the copyright of this because you're paying for all of the printing, and all the design. So then I'll give them a cost. I'll give them a cost. And when one thing about it is when you set your manuscript up on your computer, it will tell you how many words you have in that manuscript. So you've got 50,000 words in there. See, that computer will tell you that. So they tell me, okay, my computer says, hey, I got 50,000 words. So you divide that by 350. That's about how many words per page you get. So you get, say, that's going to make 100 pages or whatever, or maybe 150, 150 pages. Then I can kind of give you an estimated cost of the printing. Now, when you start this, and if you say, okay, let's do it. So what the thing about it is, there's a couple of options you have. Every page in that book, if it's 150 pages, has to be formatted to the exact size of the page.
Now, what if it's a bigger book?
Okay, yeah, the same thing. If it's a bigger book, this here's a bigger book, of course, or if it's 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
But now the 350 words is for the 6 by 9 size or 5.5 by 8 size. Yeah, 5.5 by 8 size. But then the next thing you have to determine is that every page has to be formatted. You got to have space here, you got to have space here, you got to have space down here, you got to have something up at the top, you got to have your page numbers in. And so somebody has to do that.
Yeah.
Now I can do that for you. And like you say, you got a little chapter heading,
maybe a little artwork or something.
Little artwork up there. We do all that for you. But I have to pay those people to do it. I mean, that's a little more expensive to do that. But if you can do it, and some people can do that themselves, they can format the pages. All they do is just send me the file. And then I can just print the file. And they don't have to pay for the formatting. But usually, mostly, we have to format most of the pages on the inside. We have to format the pages. And then I get with them, okay, we got to format these, and then I give them the price for that. Okay, now we got to have a design cover. So I got to design a cover.
Maybe the most important part.
Yeah, it is. Exactly right. And so then, we have designers there that will do that for you. And then the next thing, we got to copyright it. And we got to get these copyrights from the government. That ain't cheap, I tell you that.
So you have to copyright it.
Yeah, it has to be. Well, yeah, it has to be copyrighted. Now, one thing that we do, and from the copyright, we get this little barcode that you have to put, that bookstores could scan it. That's where we get that from. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're just going to do a book, now I'll tell you, we do some books, and I know, I'm just going on here, But we do get some books where people just want to print them for their family. And we do that, a lot of that at Christmas time. They'll do a genealogy of their family. and they want to leave that with their family.
It's not important to anybody but the media.
Yeah, so you don't have to have that barcode. That'll save you $100 anyway, having that but we will still copyright it.
Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem. Let's take my grandmother's book.
Okay.
They had it written in 2 sections. And then later, I think y'all did this.
Yeah, we did that one.
You did this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we did that one. The other two, I think.
So who owns this copyright?
I'd say right in there, but I believe you all do. It'll tell you right inside there. Usually there should anyway. Dedicated to my mother. ISBN number, copyrighted by Dee Burris Publications.
So he's got the copyright.
He's got the copyright. Yeah. So he can do anything with that book that he wants. You paid for the. You paid for that, but we have a lot of people, especially we've had 2 or 3 during Christmas. They'll do a genealogy, then they'll give that so that'll be saved for the family. They do a genealogy of their family. One was 300 pages. I mean, it was about that thick. But I've had quite a few people, and see, with the digital presses, we can print 25 or 30 or 50 or whatever you need. On that, and and then we format the pages for you and do the cover for you.
You can make it look like a real nice book.
Oh yeah, and the good thing about that is the fact that on your first printing you got to pay for the for the design. You got to pay for the formatting. You got to pay for the copyright. But if you have a reprint, that cost goes away. That's a one-time cost. Then we keep that on our server, and they say 6 months later you say, hey, I need another I need another one of these. I need another 50 books. Well, then we pull it up on our server and we print it. If you need to make a few corrections in it, we can do that for you.
What if something happens to the server?
Oh, we're in trouble. and we have, but usually they can get it. We have had that, but usually they can call it back up.
Yeah. Search it somehow or something.
Yeah. They usually can get back in there and
because
it's in there somewhere. You just got to get a technician to get in there and get it out. And
that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it is a nightmare. And,
but you've got it in print.
Yeah.
So they could retype it.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother's book.
Yeah.
If I don't have this on digital, you can just reprint it, right?
Well, what I'll have to do, that book was printed before we went to digital press.
So somebody's got to type it.
And somebody's got to type that. If you want to change it, now, if you don't want to change it, I can scan that. I can scan the pages and print them as is.
Is there a secret to the fonts? There's how many fonts?
Oh my, there are dozens. But
how many?
Oh man, there's hundreds of them.
Because on the computers, it'll ask me. I can change the font to Courier, Arial.
Times Roman is kind of what we like.
Why is there any science to that?
Well,
Times Roman.
we just kind of feel like it's easier to read.
Let me see.
And
because this one is not. I don't think.
In fact, that's a little smaller type too. And usually we like to go to 11-point type. And that's even
what type is this?
That's 12-point right there.
12-point what?
12. I
Times
think that's
Roman?
Times Roman. I believe it is. Looks like that. I'm not sure about that. On that. But
what about this one? That's like italics.
Yeah, it is. Now that's a special font there.
Is that harder? Which one's better to read?
I like Times Roman, but this one is pretty easy too. But she chose that. She chose that type.
Well, I would think that everything is for a reason.
Yeah, and it's basically in the eyes.
That's a little dramatic.
Yeah, it's in the eyes of the beholder, and to a great deal. And
what about like poetry? Would it be a different font? Maybe.
Personally, a lot of times it is. We did, of course, that's a poetry book right there, and those are all poems.
Yeah.
She used a different font. We did another.
What font? What is that font?
That slips my mind right now. Exactly what I thought.
Well,
But she chose that. She chose that.
Choosing fonts would be like choosing colors.
Yeah, just about.
Or worse.
But I'd say 90% of the things we use is Times Roman, and this book here, and this is a good book here. I think that's Times Roman there.
Well, Times Roman probably takes up less room.
Yeah, and
this one here seems to take up more room.
A little bit more room
because they're slanted.
And that's that's again. Once you do a book, we'll sit down and we know we can choose that.
See, my grandmother painted some pictures that were, she wasn't a great artist, but she was to our family.
Sure.
It was her paintings, whether it was good or not.
Yeah.
And I'd like to put those pictures in the book.
Yeah, we can.
And maybe ones that go with maybe the poem, or maybe looks like it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
So who would somebody have to come and take a picture of them?
Yeah, we would have to have a. We'd have to have a. You don't have them on computer.
No, we'd have to hire a photographer.
No, we can scan those pictures.
I'd have to bring the pictures to you.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd have to scan those. And we got a scanner that will scan that, and does a pretty good job of it too.
And with it being paintings, it'd be like 10,000 colors.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is the computer they put all that together, and that's all done.
And we can change the cover.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I was going to put this picture on it.
No problem at all.
We'll do that. I want to do that.
Yeah, and the only thing we'll have to do then, we'll probably have to have somebody reset that type on the inside.
Well, that doesn't. We can pay somebody, right?
Yeah, I've got a person who will do it for you.
We'll get them to do it.
And just reset the type. And if you want any corrections, we can do that and everything.
Would be a great book. Now, how do you sell these books?
Well,
say, Bo, did he sell any of these books?
Yeah, he did. And like you say, now one thing you do when you do a self-published book, you're entering into a part-time job pretty much. Because you gotta do a little bit of marketing your own, and I tell you what, some people do. They get on Facebook, and they'll read a portion of your book or the book, and ask for comments from people, and they get a lot of comments. And pretty soon they get maybe once or twice a week they'll get on. Some of them do every day.
Now I had Ron Trapoto on. He wrote the book When No One Else Believed.
Okay.
And it's a really good book. I got it and read it. And he had just over 80,000 views just on this podcast. The book was so powerful. But I think he does his own marketing.
Yeah. And that's one thing. And I'll tell you one thing, I'd like to tell the people this. If you've got a book and you're thinking about it, and think about the marketing part of it. And there's some things you can do. There's a book that you can order off of a Google.
A book on how to.
It's called 1001 Ways to Market Your Book.
Well, those types of books are helpful.
Yeah, and that would be very helpful. And I suggest to all people that do a self-published book. And now a lot of people like missionaries and stuff like that. They do that to support their ministry. And
that's true. That's true. Like Perry Stone.
Yeah.
For instance.
And they do that, so they've got a marketing venue that they follow. And but some people don't have that contact with that many outside people. And so therefore they got to be a little bit creative in their marketing. And I'll tell you, a lot of people, a lot of times they can go to the radio station. Sometimes, they'll give you a little plug for new authors. Sometimes the newspaper here will give you a plug for new authors. Just you see the editor, and sometimes they'll put something in for you. And so there's some things, there's Facebook out there.
But by the time you sell somebody on the idea of buying it, by the time they get home and get ready to order it, they're over the notion.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a. Yeah. But I can see a big market for people that just want to bind, print, collate, put together their own book for their own personal reasons.
And you can do that.
I mean, they don't know how simple it is.
Yeah, that's true, and you can do that, and I think Staples or something, they have a way that if you just wanted to do 4 or 5 books or something like that. But like you say, if you're going to do 100 or 200, 250 books, then you need to maybe get with some printer and try to print it and make it look and make it look as professional as you can.
Well, what makes them also look professional is the Q.
Oh yeah.
Q code. What do you call it?
The barcode. That's called the barcode.
Yeah.
And,
does that a dog named Sam? Does it have a barcode?
I don't know. Yeah, it does. Yeah, if he did that, it has a barcode, and ISBN number, and everything.
That was one of the best dogs that ever lived.
Yeah, is that right? That's right. Well, it must have been because Bo
Sam
really.
That was a good dog. He thought like a human.
How about that? Because he was really attached to that dog. I can tell you that, and everything. But I tell you. The marketing part, and and so those some things you think about, and a lot of people they have an idea for a book, and that's great. And again, if you do it, if you want to just do it for your family, your friends, if you want to do 50 or 100, we can do that. But if you want to do it a little bit and help, and we can kind of help you do some marketing with it, we'll help you do that.
Is there a size that's better? Like,
no.
I'll never get used to reading something off a computer.
No,
See, to me, a book like this or that size or something is you're sitting at home at night and you're reading it, and when you get done, you want to fold the page and come back the next day and maybe highlight something. But you can't do that with a computer.
No, you can't do it. And the thing about it, a lot of times when you're reading a computer, they'll throw something else in there on you too.
I hate that worse than anything.
I know. You start reading something,
or
all of a sudden something else will pop up in there.
Or it comes across says so and so's on Snapchat. Why do I care about that? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I know it. But I tell you, we've had some research done, and it seemed like that people are going back to books more than they than one time. It was iBooks and eBooks and and things like that.
Kindle and all those.
Yeah, and that's a little expensive to do that too as well.
I think it's absorbed more through a book.
Yeah, I think it is too. And not only that, if you want something, you can go back and read it again.
Why is it that reading it off a computer is not the same as having the book? I'm not sure. There's got to be a reason.
Well, I think there probably is, but I'm like you. I like to have it right there. And again, I'm bad about this. If I see something I like, I'll underline it in my book.
Yeah.
My book.
Sure.
See, and you can't do that.
You can't do it on the computer.
Mine does well, but I'll do that. But I like this size because it's it's not that bulky.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big old, and it's a little bit more difficult to handle, I think. But this here is just kind of the right size and a book, and we do 90% of our books are 5.5, 8.5, or 6 by 9, and that's the two prices, and probably the two less expensive because we do so much of that type of work as well.
Now, have you ever go to? Now you live in Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, I live in Chattanooga. I drive back and forth. Yeah.
Every day. How long have you done that?
Oh, a number of years, over 20 years. I can tell you that.
Which way do you come?
I come right up the interstate. I don't live too far off the interstate, and I just come right up the interstate.
You live more this side of Chattanooga?
East Brainerd. I live in East Brainerd.
East Brainerd.
Yeah.
You ever know Louis Spitzer? That was my uncle that lived over there.
Louis Spitzer. I don't know.
He lived in East Brainerd.
Did he really? Yeah, I've been there for a while.
So you're close to what?
See, see, we got Food City down in there.
Yeah.
I live right behind Food City off East Brainerd Road.
No, there'd be Sam's. Sam's Club.
Yeah, Sam's. I'm more over towards East Brainerd on that.
Okay,
over towards Publix, and over in that area.
That's where he lived.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the road. He lived on close between East Brainerd Road and the airport.
Oh, in that area. In that area. Yeah. I live on not too far off of Gun Barrel Road.
Oh, I see.
The mall comes right down Gun Barrel Road there, that mall. And I live right off of Gun Barrel Road, turn left, and I'm down in that area and everything.
Have you lived in Chattanooga all your life?
Not all my life. No, I came originally from Indiana, and I come down here. What
age?
Right after I got out of the military, I come down in here.
What part of the military?
I was in the Air Force for about 4 years. Yeah.
What'd you do in it?
And I was a medic. Went into medic.
You was a medic in the Air Force?
Yeah, I was with a helicopter squadron, and I was the kind of and we had a medic. I was one of the medics. And,
what year did you go in?
Well, it's 1955.
You were out of high school?
Yeah, pretty much out of high school.
Did you get drafted?
No, I didn't. We joined. A bunch of my buddies, we kind of got together, and we just kind of joined together, and about 3 of us.
Without being drafted?
No, we didn't drafted. No, we.
Well, you were just ahead of the Vietnam War then, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you get out right?
Yeah, I did. And I was in Okinawa for a couple of years. And
was that a war? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. We was got a little flare up over Formosa while I was there, and that that settled down. I was glad to see that, but I was there for a couple of years, and that's one thing. When I got out of service, I was going to stay in the medical field, and I had some training in that. And but my brother-in-law was a printer and kind of got me involved in the printing, and so I went to school and learned the typesetting machine. That's kind of
you move your hands like a doctor does.
Yeah, about that. I don't know about that, but anyways, maybe from operating that type machine.
It might be.
for a number of years. But they had a school, and I went to school for that. And in fact, it was in Chicago.
You had no interest other than being a medic?
No, well, I was. That's what I was tended towards, and then and I kind of got involved in the printing part of it. My brother-in-law kind of got me interested in it, and then I went to school for the printing part of for the linotype. They had a little school out there.
Isn't that something? You couldn't even go to the school for that now.
No, Lord, no, and everything. But it was.
So you were already married before you got out of the military?
No. But.
But you said your brother-in-law got you.
Yeah, he's the one that got me. He got me involved in the printing part of it, and I've been in it ever since. And it has been a part of my been part of my life, and been very and I enjoy it. I could like I say, I'm old enough to retire, but I enjoy this so much. I told my wife, as long as I'm in good health and I love what I do, I'm going to keep I'll keep it up. I love to work with people, and if anybody out there has got if you got a project you want to work on, and everything, and you want some information, you can email me at jpuckett@dawkinsgraphics.com. And give me your phone number, and I'll call you. And if whether you have it with us or anybody else, if I can help you out, I will.
What is it that you like helping people about that?
I just enjoy. I just working with people. I just enjoy working with people and showing what we can do and letting them know what we can do, and then helping them through the process. I love to help them through the process. I've been part of my life for, like I say, over 50 years, and I just love the process and showing people what they can do, and then I give them all the information. Then they have to make the decision whether they want to do it or not. And I'm going to give them all the facts. I'm going to give them all the if they do it as a self-published book, I'm on the exact price. When we'll work together on how much we're going to charge for this book. Well, we'll work together on that, and a lot of it, how many pages it is, and how many you print, and all that is.
How many do you print in the beginning?
Well,
right?
yeah, and we always recommend. I always recommend. When you start, if you're doing a self-published book, start off small. You don't need 50 or 100 copies to start with, and that way you see how it's going to go. Hey, maybe you could send some to some other distributors or somebody that and see if you can start a little marketing project and see if you can move your books. And because we got it on the server after you do the 50 books, then you say, hey, if you get down to 10 or 15, you call me in about 2 weeks. I can have you some more books.
Now, see, that's got to be different than it used to be.
Yeah,
it
sure.
had to have been.
Oh yeah.
Probably you got a minimum order or something.
I tell you, when you had those big offset presses, in order to get a decent price, you had to print 1,000 books.
Boy, you had to be all in at that.
I had to be all in on that. And this way, you can start out. With digital press, I can print 50 books for you, or 100, and you can kind of estimate maybe how many books you'd like to start with. I think this little poem book, I think she started out with 100, and and most of these books are kind of just start off maybe. I think he started off with 500 because he had a pretty good book, pretty good sized book, and he had a pretty good market. He's got a pretty good market for his book. But we talk together, and we'll talk with you on that, and I like to know, what do you think you can sell? What's your marketing concept? And then then we can decide if we're going to do 50 books or 100 books.
How do you get a book in Books A Million?
Well, that is you got to get on the computer, and then they give you the information on that Books A Million. How do I do it? And they go through a company, pretty much that to do that. And to do that, you got it. And then you can send them a copy of your book, and then they make a decision, whether they want to carry it or not again.
So they can't put all the ones they want on there.
No, you gotta get permission. They gotta accept your book before you get in Books A Million or anything. But the publishing companies have that, and even our publishing company, have a right to to accept a manuscript or not accept it, because that's according to their policies and their criteria that they kind of adhere to.
When did they start? When did the copyright laws come into? When did they start that?
I don't know how long that's been, but I will tell you this: a lot of people, you don't have to have the barcode to have a copyright, but if you have copyright in your book, copyright by Bo Burris or Dee Burris. If you have a copyright, then it is copyrighted. If it's written in the book, it is copyrighted.
You just have to go
you
through.
You say copyright 1985 or whatever, 2022.
Then it's copyrighted.
And then it's copyrighted. And then all rights reserved. You got to have that on there.
Of course, somebody could copy it. And
then if you find somebody that that's plagiarized in your book, well then you can take them to court if you got that copyright in there, and we'll have that copyright in there for you.
You have to go through lawyers and prove that you had it first and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you do that, and I'm sure it's happened before. But I haven't had any problem with that so far. No, I haven't. And but still, we copyright every book, and we do all that for you.
What would be the most copied book? The Bible?
Yes,
What would be number 2?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have any idea about what number 2 would be. But I understand the Bible is the most purchased book,
will we see it? Will we ever see a time when it's not?
That's scary.
It's scary, isn't it?
That's a little scary,
I mean, think about it.
That's something to think about. I'll tell you that. And I certainly don't have the answer, but I would hate that. Boy, that would be scary, because I tell you, that's such a moral guideline for our people.
Yeah.
And it's such a way to live, and the words to live by, and how to live, and I'd hate to see that. I'd hate to see that pass. That would hurt. That would be a sad day.
It seems like it's getting less, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
How'd you get from Indiana to here?
Well, I went to Lee University,
and
that brought me down here. And I had every intention of going back, but I kind of liked it down here. I fell in love with this part of the country, and so we decided to stay.
What part of Indiana?
I was around Muncie, Indiana. Ball State University's there, Muncie, Indiana, 50 miles or so from Indianapolis. My father was a pastor.
Are you a Hoosier?
I'm a Hoosier, yeah. My father was a pastor in Indiana, that little church, and another little place there, Newcastle, Indiana, which is not too far. And then he pastored in Muncie, and that's when. And I will tell you this, and this is completely different from what we're talking about. And I was at the game that the movie Hoosiers was made from.
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
I was at that game. It was Hickory Valley and South Bend, I think, in the movie, but it was Muncie Central and Milan was the two.
Who is that actor?
Hickman was his name. For the
coach. Yeah, what was his first name? Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Yeah. He was the actor who played the coach.
Yeah.
And I was at that game. And,
Is that right?
And the final score was 32-30. That time they didn't have the rule where you had to shoot in 24 seconds.
Yeah.
They would hold the ball for 3 or 4 minutes. We couldn't get and the score at the half I think was 18-15 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it was tied 30-30 with just a few. And for about 2 minutes going, they held the ball for 2 minutes, and the guy shot that shot, and he hit it with about a few seconds to go.
What is a Hoosier?
Well, I keep saying that was an old name for farmers. What I heard, they called them Hoosier farmers. The farmers were called Hoosiers, and another kind of just the legend says, well, that people would say when they come to your house, who's here? So then, I've heard that, but I think basically farmers, and it's a lot of farm country, corn country up in that area.
If you ask anybody from Indiana if they're a Hoosier, they'll always say yes. So they're proud to be.
Yeah, be a Hoosier. Yeah. I was born and raised there, and joined the military after I graduated from high school in Indiana, and then kind of moved around a little bit.
So you came here after the military?
Yeah.
What was Cleveland like in 1960?
Ooh, yeah, about that. It was Lord, it wasn't nearly as big as it is now. I can tell you that. A lot of changes and everything, but it has grown to it's 3 times as big as it was back back when I came here. And really grown and beautiful town. I love this area. I still go back to Indiana. I still have nieces, nephews up there. I go back about once a year and have a little reunion.
How long did it take you to drive there?
About 8 hours, something like that.
Pretty good drive.
Yeah, it is. I take my time. I stop 3 or 4 times, and get out. But we have a little reunion, and my brother and some of my nephews, they play golf, so we all go out there and have a little shootout for the family there. But we enjoy that. But it's really a good time. But I love this area. I really love this area.
And you're in Cleveland 5 days a week.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I don't work as much as I used to. I kind of semi, I guess, retired. But I'm working every day. And I can work at home a lot. I call customers and I can do a lot of work at home. So I work at home some too. But I always like to come in and make sure everything's good. And the works I have, I see what process they're in, and I kind of walk through each process with each book, in the printing process, the folding process, the binding process, the trimming process, and then I make sure that it gets mailed or we get it delivered. And so I kind of work with each project and make sure that they're doing it the way the customer wants to do it.
Would you have 10, 15 kind of in the works right now?
I would have right now. I probably got just about 3 or 4 right now, but I'm probably talking to 3 or 4 more of the customers though.
Plus, you got some people you're adding some books for.
Yeah, and I do a few things outside of the book division too, and I work some with some magazines for Lee University, and Lee University has. They got a basketball magazine, they've got a softball magazine, they've got a volleyball magazine, and we kind of work together with that group there, and as well. So I kind of work with them on that as well. So kind of keeps me busy, and I enjoy that.
On the Courthouse Square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call. Where is all the printing done? At Pathway or
I'm glad you asked that. About 5 years ago, Pathway purchased Dawkins Graphics. And it's over on Overhead Bridge Road, here not too far. It was a printing company.
Is that the one that had the flood here a while back?
Well, I'll tell you what, we had, I'm trying. I don't think we've had a flood.
Water line leak or something?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we had a leak over Christmas. Where the pipe broke, and kind of we got to have new Servpro's been in there tearing up carpet and everything else. In fact, we kind of been, but it didn't hurt any of the machinery. So
that's good.
So that's good. So, but we've been kind of trying to band together, but we're hoping by the first of the week we'll be back to normal. Yeah, they did that.
So it's all printed there.
Yeah. So we purchased that printing plant, and it's still called Dawkins Graphics because Dawkins is a profit for Pathway is nonprofit.
Ah.
So we had to keep the name, and it's for tax purposes.
I see.
We had to keep it separate, and so, but it's really Pathway Dawkins. But another thing that helps us with, we love to serve Dawkins customers as well. That when we purchased that company, we was able to keep their customers, and so we was able to service those too as well. And so therefore, you're printing, because I've had a lot of people thought I was almost from another printing plant because my email address is Dawkins Graphics.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I thought you was with Pathway. Well, and then I got to explain to them that Pathway owns.
And you're really sort of with Derek.
Yeah, and with Derek, and all of that's underneath though the umbrella of Pathway. All of it, Derek Press, Dawkins Graphics, all under the.
Is Pathway just based here?
And that's where headquarters is at. Yeah, our headquarters here. And in the division, yeah.
Do they have other places outside of Cleveland?
Not printing, not printing plant. All of it's done here. All of our curriculum and our magazines and everything is printed here. And
who originally started Pathway?
Well, it's always been Church of God. That Church of God, it's a
Church of God printing nonprofit.
Yeah, it's printing, yes. And the trade name is Pathway.
So somebody saw the need for that years ago.
Yeah, they did.
Seems like I remember when they were just kind of getting started.
Yeah, and that is true, and it's been that way for as long as I've been there. I know that. I know. And the old Redback hymnal, that we.
Oh yeah.
That's Pathway. That's a Pathway Press project, and that's a. And
they were always red, weren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. At one time, they said, "Well, let's do some green and let's do some blue to kind of match."
Couldn't have that,
and that didn't last very long. So it's still all red. It's all red.
You just couldn't hardly sing with a green songbook.
I know. That didn't last very long.
Now they're holding it up on the screen at church where you just read it off the screen.
Yeah, a lot of that now. Yeah, that is pretty much.
Remember how they used to stand real proper like this?
Oh yeah, I know it now. Yeah, they did, and I kind of miss the old hymns. A lot of times I do.
The hymn books and the hymns, right?
That's right. Yes, I really do. I mean, I'm on screaming. I enjoy that. I really do enjoy that part of it, but I do enjoy the old hymns. I really do. There's nothing that can beat them.
It just seems more worshipful or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. To me, it does.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. But like you say, I can I can worship either way. But I miss the old hymns. I really do. And the old hymn book, having it there, and we seldom use it anymore. But I'll tell you.
Yeah, and it was always in the back of the pew.
Yeah,
the songbook.
Yeah.
People don't give reverence to that like they used to.
Like they used to. I'm telling you. But that's something there. And some people have made a fortune on the old hymns. And who was the guy from Anderson, Indiana, that does the who?
Bill Gaither. Yeah.
Bill Gaither brought the old hymns back, and let me tell you, that was a success. And I think you kind of helped maybe bring it back a little bit, and I do enjoy that. But like you say,
does he sing them like they used to?
They usually got quartets. He has quartets, and then he's got usually a little choir in the background even, and they sing it and they harmonize, and it's beautiful. It really is. And I enjoy that. He's been in Chattanooga a couple times.
The old song leaders used to really be reverenced in churches.
In that respect, and they And but it's a like you say, hey, it's people. Things change, and hey, and then I'll go along with the change much as I can.
We got to just conform, don't we?
Somewhat. Well, I tell you.
Play along to get along.
Yeah. And I think I heard someone say this, and sometimes the method changes, but the word can change. Maybe the method changes, right. But the word can change.
Yeah, and so much of it is the method and not the word anyway.
Yeah, that's right, and then you got to, and that's when you got to determine, whether, you can work with that or not.
You ever go to McKay's bookstore?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Boy, I love to go down there.
Yeah, man, you can find anything down there.
Well, I had a guy move out of he died, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He lived in one of my rental houses, and he died, and so his family came and got everything, and they said, Dee, we've got everything we need. So I went over there, and there were just a bunch of old, what I call junk books. It'd fill up half this table.
How about that?
And I took them down to McKay's, and I said, they said, well, we can't take but so many at a time.
I know,
so I went down there like 3 different trips.
Did they take most of them?
They took all of them.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't take some.
I told them any they can't take, throw away.
Okay.
And I don't know what makes them not take a book.
I don't know either, but they've got, I guess they've got a criteria that
you know what I got in trade? $88. That was quite a bit.
Yeah.
I thought they were just. Of course, I don't have anything I want down there, but I've got it.
One time, I ended up with about $25 or $30, I think, something like that. I had some books.
Well, my point is that place is packed. If they're open right now, it's packed.
I know it.
And it's all books like this.
I know it is.
And categorized.
I know it. They got them all categorized. And any category,
Is this cord making a noise, Gwen?
And but anything you want, pretty much, you can they've got a section for that. If you want science or history or whatever,
or movie or drama or fictional or comedy, it's a great place to go.
It really is, no doubt about it.
And we're not alone because it's so crowded.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, I go there every once in a while, and you can find something pretty decent, really. I mean, if you like something, I've looked for a couple of books I found in there. I was kind of looking for. And I really enjoy it, but
the line is 15, 20 deep.
Yeah, sometimes, and they'll have 2 or 3 people serving you too.
Oh, I mean, they've got checkouts for 4 people.
Yeah, I know it.
So there's a market for old books.
Sure, there is, absolutely.
I guess they're probably selling or trading whatever. I'll bet you they're doing more than Books A Million.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Because there's just too many. There's so many people.
And there's a lot of McKays. They're not just one Chattanooga, but they're all over.
Well, I didn't realize that. I was in Knoxville here about a month ago, and I was going to meet somebody, and he was trying to direct me where to go. And I was on the phone with somebody else, and he was texting me. And I was one of those days, and it was early morning, and I didn't want to be there anyway. And so finally, I said, I pulled over in a parking lot, and I said, I tell you where I'm at. I'm at and it was McKay's bookstore.
Is that right? How about that?
I was right down there. And then, so while I was there,
I bet you went in.
I went in, and I watched these old sitcoms like different types. But I had one that I'd got from McKay's bookstore, in Cleveland, so I took it back there. So they gave me that ticket for $3 or whatever. So the next week I'm in Chattanooga, I stop at McKay's, and they said, oh, we won't take that one. That one's from Knoxville. I thought, well, good grief.
You got to go back to Knoxville, don't you? Get your
it wasn't worth the $3.
You get your $3 back, don't you?
You can't make this stuff up, can you?
No, you can't. But I tell you, it is wonderful. And like I said, I love the books. I love to work with books, and I think, like you say, that's just if I can help anybody, I tell you, I'd be glad to do that.
Do you read any books yourself?
Oh yeah, I read quite often.
You read like every night?
Pretty much, I try to read. I read the, like I said, I read the Bible. Try to read the Bible quite a bit, and then I like a book. And like I say, I've read that book just recently, and that's a good book. It's on Revelation. It really is.
Do you read like every word, or do you skim?
Well, I try to read every word, and I might not read a lot, but I try to read every word. And if I see something, I'll underline it. You
ever start reading a book and you think, boy, this isn't any good, but I can't put it down because I've got OCD and I feel like I got to finish it.
You got to finish it.
Even though I don't even like it no more.
Yeah, I tell you what I have done a couple of times on that. I'll skip over towards the last and read the last part of it. See, I've done that before. And,
but then somebody says,
but most of the time I read the whole book.
But then if somebody says, have you read that book? What do you say? Yes or no?
Yeah. And if I haven't read it, I'll just tell them, no, I've not read that.
Or parts of it.
Yeah. And I've said, but if I haven't read it, I'll just say, no, I haven't read that one. But I do like to read.
Do you feel obligated to read books that you print?
Well, I tell you, I do in a certain extent. And when I get a book and we do a book, I like to, most of the time I read it. But like I say, sometimes I have to I'll skim through it a little bit. But I do feel like that, I like to read them because I like to be informed on what the customer, and so therefore I can help the customer
with the book,
with the book a little bit more if I know exactly what he's writing there. So I do like to read them. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Do you ever get one you say, I just don't feel right about printing this one?
Oh yeah, well, we've got.
You get that a lot?
Yeah, I've gotten that. So yeah.
How do you tell?
We've had to turn some down. Yeah.
Like quite a few?
Yeah, not quite a few. We had to turn one down. I did this one book we did. I just told him, hey, I'll print this for you, but I won't promote it. No, if you want this for your family or something like that, hey, I'll print it for you, but I won't promote it. And it was just something that and we got a policy, we got a criteria, and if it doesn't meet that criteria, then we let the customer know.
Whether you want to or not, it's
but I've had to do that to a few. Yeah, I have, and it's not pleasant. And everything. That's one thing that I don't like to do.
Do some people just print anything for money? I guess, right?
Well, but they feel good about it, and they feel good about it, and a lot of another thing that's a little difficult sometimes. People will send me and want me to review it. Sometimes I have to give them my honest opinion about it, and that's a little difficult sometimes.
Well, so they might ask your opinion of, do you think I should spend money on this? Yeah. And you got to say yay or nay. Yeah. Now you got to read it.
Yeah. Now I got it. I got to read it then. And I'll tell them I feel like you need to have this book copy edited because it's not flowing very well. And I know it's going to cost you to get it done, but I said this book is not flowing good, and it's a little choppy or something like that, and you're jumping from one thing to another instead of flowing. And
is that more important in books than it is in just regular talking? I guess it is.
I think it is. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's much more difficult to write a book than maybe to teach a class.
Yeah.
Because you can just kind of flow with with your thoughts, but the book it's got to be it's got to flow pretty well. And I've had other people tell me that's editors that it's much more difficult to write a book than it is to just to teach a class because you can kind of ad lib and and things like that.
Everybody thinks they can tell a story, but to write one's another story.
To write one's another thing, and that takes a talent. It really does. And I think it's like you say, it is a talent. But I tell you, but once you do it and you get it together and it looks good, then you feel like you've accomplished something. And if something is in your heart and your spirit, and you got to get it out. Well, hey, we'll work with you and make it as flow as best we can. And but most of them that we get, they do pretty well. They do pretty good. They flow pretty well. But it's always good though. It's always a good go through a proofreader or copy.
It's imperative.
And it's almost imperative to do that, because if you get a book that's got misspelled words in it, it don't flow good, then people will read it and then they won't, or they'll look at it and they won't purchase it.
And if you were writing it, you read it, you already know.
Yeah.
But so somebody else reading it would have a lot more critical
That's
eye.
right, because you've got to let them know that do they see in the book what you're seeing?
Right.
And are you relaying your message so other people is getting what you want them to get? And I think a copy editor does that.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important that they do that. I know it's more expensive to do that, especially if you're doing it as a self-published book.
Yeah.
And it's so important to do that, to be a part of that. Yes, I agree. I always recommend that if I can.
If you read books at night, do you turn the TV off and sit down in the chair?
Yeah.
You don't have the TV on,
I
too?
don't like to. I'll go in my room or something like that sometimes,
Well, reading will put you to sleep.
Yeah. Hey, if you get insomnia at 2 o'clock
just
in the morning,
read a book.
Just get up there and read a chapter of the Bible or a couple of chapters, and
Knock you right
all of a sudden you go back to bed and sleep real good. So that's a good reason to read a book right there.
Isn't that crazy? People take pills and just read a book.
Read a book. Read absolutely.
Or start reading it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you won't get far.
And if you get a good book, it'll keep your interest too. It really will. And that's another thing that that a copy will do for it, is to keep your interest. From chapters that flows and everything. So
one thing I've noticed: people that write a book inevitably will write another one. You notice that?
It just gets to be part of them.
It's like getting a tattoo. You won't find anybody with one tattoo. They always got two.
It kind of gets to be addictive.
Yeah, there must be something about it.
Something about it a little bit, and everything in that respect. Yeah,
everybody ought to write their own autobiography.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's and some people do that, and like you say, and it's for their family, and that they have the history of their family, and I think that's really good.
That's what the old guys used to do.
Sure.
The kings, they'd put their emblem on it, or their seal, and
and all
crescent.
they did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they did.
People don't honor that
like they used to, and I tell you, I think it's so important that that your family understand where they come from and what was important and what their ancestors did and accomplished, and I think that's I really think that's important. I really do, and a lot of other people seem like are doing a little bit more of that.
Have you noticed that even stuff like even the funerals are getting not as theatrical?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a.
I see what you're saying.
People are getting to where they're just not caring about anything.
I hate that. I hate that. Yeah, I hate it.
I mean, they're not. You know what I'm saying? It goes along with not having the hymnal anymore.
Yeah. You're right, and but I guess it's the day and age when it's fast food, fast everything.
Fast funerals.
I guess, but it's like you say, and in my lifetime, and I'm sure we've seen a lot of changes, and like you say, just in this reason, what we've been talking about, how much has changed, and but one thing about digital printing that we do, that it kind of makes it able for almost anybody, if they want to do a book, that we can do it, that we can get together. Because like you say, you don't have to print 2 or 3, 4, 5,000.
Yeah.
You can print, like I say, 50 with digital printing.
I'm gonna get you to reprint my grandmother's.
And we'll work on that. I can. I'll talk to the lady who. She'll retype that for me.
Retype it.
And then see, because we got to have it on a computer to flow the pages and do the formatting like we talked about earlier, and we'll have to have that. If you want to make any changes in it, we can do that. As we type it.
You may be the world's leading expert in this field.
Oh, I've just been in a long time.
Well, who else would be that?
I've just been in a long time, and I tell you, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And,
you ever thought about advertising that your books are recyclable, made out of recycled products?
We do have recyclable paper and we do have that, and we do recycle our paper that we don't use.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have a recycling thing that and the trucks pick it up, and
well, you get 10 cents for it or
something like that. So much a pound, I think. I don't know exactly what it is, not a lot.
Are you related to anybody in Cleveland?
Well, yeah, I have. Of course, I got a son and a daughter.
They're in Cleveland?
Yeah.
What about Lori Puckett?
Lori, yeah, I know Lori real well. That's Bobby's ex-wife.
Oh.
She's in real estate.
Yeah, real nice person.
Love her. She's she's my daughter-in-law. Bob Pucket is my son.
Is that right?
And Jeannie Griffith.
Jeannie Griffith.
Yeah, she's my daughter. And he used his dad, Tim Griffith.
Jeannie Griffith. What was her? She was Jeannie.
She's a nurse. Jeannie's a nurse. Mm-hmm. And Tim, she married. His dad used to own Griff's transmission shop out there on the.
Was she married to Denny?
No, Tim Griffith.
Tim Griffith.
Yeah, Tim. And everything, but then I have another son who lives in Ringo, so we live close. And
yeah.
Thank the Lord for that. Yeah.
How's he like living in Ringo?
He loves it. He's been there for a number of years, and he's in the advertising part of it. He's in the graphics part of the printing part of it.
Used to you could just shoot down to Ringo. Now it just takes. It takes what? 45 minutes?
Oh yeah, exactly right.
Used to it was 25 minutes.
Oh, I tell you, it's a like you say, it's a different ball game getting there. But I don't mind the drive, and really I can get up here in 25, 35 minutes.
Oh yeah, from where you're at, you're here in just a minute.
Yeah, so it's not bad for me. I don't mind it at all.
You probably get the pathway quicker than I do from my house.
You might be.
Because I live on that end, yeah.
It might be. It might well be, and everything. But I tell you, I've really enjoyed it.
So how does people get a hold of you that want to have a book?
Just my email address is jpuckett with 2 T's, JPUCKETT @DawkinsGraphics.com. Just shoot me an email, give me your phone number, I'll be glad to contact you, and we'll talk together, and hey, might even meet together. That's fine with me too, and we can sit down, talk together, and go over everything, and I'd like to see what you have, and we'll work with you, and if you feel like we'll give you all the information you need to make a decision. Final decision will be up to you, but we'll give you all the information you need, and maybe more too. If we know if we do. Yeah, I'd be glad to talk with anybody, and even if you say if you have if you're working with someone else, hey, that's fine too. I just love to talk about books and about how to get them published and what you can do and what you can't do, and I enjoy that, and I certainly enjoyed this time together. Really have. Brother.
I've really enjoyed it. Bo said you were a nice guy, and he was right.
Oh, I'll tell you something else, and I'm so glad to meet him and his family. The first time I got to meet you, and I really appreciate that. But I knew you was his brother as soon as I see you.
No mistaking it.
No mistake, brother. No mistake. God bless
Jerry,
you. Appreciate you
you're
so much.
You're a great guy.
Thank you. You are.